I'll take a few questions.
Madam Mayor, when Commissioner De Sousa was announced back in January, you talked about how you were impatient and you wanted to get on top of the crime rate and reduce it much more quickly. With that impatience, did that negatively impact the vetting process you went through for Commissioner De Sousa?
Well, let me just say, because I think Friday when I made the announcement, that I am very clear that A, you learn from the things that you do. Commissioner De Sousa was not somebody new to the Baltimore Police Department. We did vet, maybe not as thoroughly as some think that we should have. But I do believe when we made that selection, as you all well know, we had risen to 343 murders in this city. And I was over at the police department almost every day from October on, and having conversations about how do we get our arms around violence reduction in this city. And I think you also know that in October, we began the discussions around the Violence Reduction Initiative. And while I was over at the police department, watching the command staff, working with the police department, I can tell you that there was one person over there among the command staff that was totally engaged, that made suggestions in terms of how we even implement the Violence Reduction Initiative. And as you well know, beginning in November, when we implemented that particular strategy, violence dropped in November, violence dropped in December, violence dropped in January, February, in March, we had an uptick in April. We're still trending downwards in terms of violence. Yes, I'm impatient around the violence that is occurring in the city, absolutely, still focused on reducing violence in the city. And I think I mentioned to you then that the reason that people move to cities or move out of cities, two major reasons: violence and schools. We brought back $1 billion in my last year in the Senate. We're on pace to build more brand new schools in Baltimore City than any other jurisdiction in the state. And so I'm excited about that. I was excited to see those numbers go down. And yes, I think I said on Friday, I absolutely own the selection of Darryl De Sousa as commissioner for the city. We looked at his background. He started out, in patrol. He worked as a motorcycle, as a horse police in patrol. He worked on motorcycle in patrol. He moved up the patrol ranks. He became the deputy commissioner of the police department. And I was very comfortable with that. We asked questions of Mr. De Sousa, and he answered those questions. And yes, we learn and we move on. We will have a national process moving forward, and we will have a vetting process as well. We've gone back. We've even looked at the statements, the forms that have to be filled out. We're adding additional questions to those forms, because even on all of the forms there's not a question. I've asked presidents of companies and corporations where people ask you about your taxes. But again, I'm still pleased with the reduction in violence, and our focus continues.
Mayor, looking forward, you said you're going to conduct a national search.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of confidence with De Sousa because
Absolutely.
he was an insider for 30 years. So which way do you lean on this? Would you prefer to have someone from the inside, or would you prefer after this to start over with a clean,
Well, let me just say that doesn't preclude anyone who is in the police department or inside from applying even through a national search. I just want to make sure that they're carefully vetted, that we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's. I think that we want to make sure that the next candidate for this particular position is well scrutinized.
Do you know if Gary Tubble has thrown his hat into the ring?
No, I don't know that.
And are you concerned at all currently with him as acting commissioner? There have been statements about where he's living, not living in Baltimore City.
No, I think if you all recall, even at the city solicitor's level, I mean, we've had individuals who've served in acting positions and have served well, who are not living in the city. In order to, if you're appointed to that position, you have no choice but to live in the city. And he's acting.
Obviously this is, there's a lot at stake at Baltimore right now. There's a lot going on. What do you say to city residents who are concerned that this episode with Mr. De Sousa raises questions about your administration's ability to make the sweeping reforms necessary by the federal consent decree?
Well, let me just be real clear. My focus is on reducing violence hasn't changed. Violence is still going down. We're very focused on the consent decree. The consent decree didn't start with Commissioner De Sousa. You know, the consent decree started when I walked in the door, and Commissioner De Sousa was not the commissioner at that time. We did in 60 days put together a consent decree that other cities took 13 to 14 days to put together. We put together a consent decree that folks said would not get signed by the feds, but it did. And so it is in place. And so we believe that the consent decree lays out a framework by which we scrutinize the operations of the police department moving forward. And we will continue to do that. I think that we have all of the tools in place. And I say to the citizens of Baltimore that we will work hard every single day and diligently to continue to reduce violence in the city and to get it right.
And one other follow-up question. Is this a self-inflicted wound by your administration, or does Mr. De Sousa share some blame for maybe withholding some pertinent information?
I don't have a great answer for that. You know, I say I own the selection of Darryl De Sousa as commissioner for Baltimore City. I watched his work. I'm pleased where we are in terms of reducing violence, but at the same time, I don't control people's personal lives, and we will ask those kinds of questions as we move forward.
But what about the
subpoenas
financial
that have been
toll?
issued
Wait a
for
minute.
for additional records, for the subpoenas that have been issued to the city, for these additional records as it pertains to him, how concerned are you about what's down the road as it pertains to clearly residual effects of the gun trace task force case? That this continues to be this cloud over the city of Baltimore that just kind of hangs.
Well, you know, I think we are all concerned, but here's we know. We have a consent decree in place. We have other investigations taking place as it relates to the gun trace task force. We are even examining what procedures we use moving forward as we look at the entire command force of the police department.
And Madam Mayor, what about the financial toll? You're paying out severance, of course, to Commissioner Davis. You've got to pay out unused leave for De Sousa. Now you've got to do a national search, which will cost money. What's the financial toll to the city for this turnover with the police?
Well, let me just say this, you all. I mean, I'm not the first mayor in the world that's gone through this. These things happen, and you know, my goal is to make less mistakes as we possibly can, to cost the city the least as we continue to move forward, but to make sure that we get the best.
What is this, a severance?
Well, you know, no. First of all, he's no, he's not getting
But he's
paid.
not getting paid for anything. There's no kind of deal.
No, not at all.
No, okay.
None at all. There is no deal. No.
So on Thursday when the charges were unsealed, first you said you supported him, then on Friday you suspended him, then he resigned. Can you talk through what changed over those several days? Did you learn about these subpoenas?
No, let me just say, I supported Commissioner De Sousa's work, his work ethic, his ability to reduce violence in this city. And I think you all know the numbers bear the truth. You know, we're still trending downward. His ability to implement, I absolutely had faith in his ability to run the police department. I have no control of anybody's personal life or their finances. And so as this continued to roll out, we thought it was important for him to take a leave or to be suspended, and he did. And I think he made a decision in his best interest.
Did you ask for his resignation? Yes.
We received his resignation and I accepted it.
Did you ask him to?
I received his resignation and I accepted it.
Have you talked to him at all?
No.
Are you going to be hiring an outside firm to do the national search?
Well, we have, let me just say, we have sources that have helped us. We've done national searches, as you well know, that have not been costly. So as we begin to roll that out, I'll provide that information for you.
I know, Madam Mayor, too, Ian reported about this ethics exemption so that you can raise funds. I mean, I guess ultimately, why can you be trusted, I guess, to have this ethics exemption and be able to raise these funds without?
I'll let the city solicitor answer that, but let me just say, last year I had to raise close to about $16 million for young people to go to work. And this city is cash strapped, as you well know. And, $5 million for new technology all came from outside, as you well know. When you think about ROCA, another $10 million that we were able to raise. And, it's something that we do because we have a cash-strapped city. When you think about opportunities like this for young people to work, when you think about, if I could get everybody to bring a bulldozer up to Park Heights or down Monroe Street or any of these other streets, and to help us to fix this city, if they are willing to step up to the plate, I'm willing to accept those opportunities. And so I'll have the city solicitor answer that, and thank you all.
On behalf of the mayor, I'm in a very good dialogue with the Ethics Commission to hopefully get their agreement that the mayor herself, together with the Baltimore City Foundation, can be trusted, must be trusted, to do what's right by the city. And you can easily imagine how programs like the one you just heard about, the Youth Works, could actually enhance the quality of life in Baltimore City if additional revenues were available through the Baltimore City Foundation, donations given to that foundation, to support the city's work. So there is no reason, it seems to me, as the mayor's lawyer, that the mayor should be distrusted to do wrong in her efforts to improve the life of youth, those suffering from substance abuse, those suffering from behavioral health impairments, those needing recreational opportunities beyond what can be provided with the general fund of the city. So I'm very hopeful that my continuing conversations with the Ethics Commission will result in what we're calling an exemption for the mayor herself, so that she can obtain additional revenue for the city through the good offices of the Baltimore City Foundation. There is no question about transparency. The foundation, of course, will be audited, independently audited. The foundation, like all 501c3s, files their federal tax returns on a regular basis. And so I don't think there's any concern about a lack of transparency if the mayor is awarded this waiver. It's a waiver that could be obtained on a case-by-case basis. So all we're asking for is a waiver that is broader than a case-by-case waiver in the particular areas in which I've spelled out the concerns to the foundation.
Judge, can we ask you about the, what kind of looking at, as you now know more information about what the feds are looking at with the former commissioner and what they may be looking at going forward. Internally in the city, as it looks at the Baltimore Police Department, have you begun an examination of anything to try to get ahead of another shoe to drop?
No, we're doing exactly what the mayor said. We have ramped up our vetting process. We are continuing to focus on the fight against violence. I have, as you all know, this morning, the Board of Estimates approved the Memorandum of Understanding with the Fraternal Order of Police. So we're going forward with that. So we're proceeding in a very positive way. We're not focused on what the feds are doing. They're doing whatever they need to do, what they should do. We're focused on the city and the people in the city.
Are you asking commanders in the police department to produce information that might be something that should have been part of the vetting process, or you now think should be part of the vetting process?
The vetting process will be expansive. I'll leave it at that.
One question about the vetting process. So I know you spoke to the Baltimore Sun the other day about steps you were taking to beef up the vetting process, as you're saying. This obviously, with the situation with De Sousa, isn't the first screw up with vetting with City Hall. What specifically are you doing to beef up the vetting process?
I don't think I can be any more explicit than I've been. We're going to be documenting it better, asking focused questions, invasive questions, questions that perhaps were not asked before.
Can you give me an example
So,
of the focus question?
no, I don't want to get into examples. We're going to be very, very thorough.
Thank you.
Thank you all very much.
Who's most